Okay, perfect. So we will just bow in quickly. Right, let's go. Okay, right. Okay, perfect. So the theme of this workshop is the idea of freedom of movement. So I chose this quote from O-sensei to start, or to use as the start of the write-up that I did, which is a really nice one. So we're going to work through this statement that he made. So he said this quote goes, move like a beam of light, fly like lightning, strike like thunder. And the last bit is the best bit. Whirl it in circles around a stable center. So we're going to first work on the end part, which is this idea of the stable center. So we're just going to work with a few exercises to start. Most of you are kind of familiar with these, so there won't be anything new. But the idea is first to get this idea of stability. So we're going to just work on this idea. The first thing is of being a relaxed, heavy body. So we're going to do these really same exercise we do every morning for most of you guys. So, but you're going to just start with the feet nice and relaxed, just really dropping the weight through the floor. So we work on this idea of stability because this is the first kind of step in terms of movement and being able to take movement take your body into a dynamic place with movement. And without stability, I can't really be free to move because I'm not working with the ground. So the first thing is really just feel the weight, knees nice and relaxed, hips relaxed, feet relaxed, especially the toes. Take that feeling into the shoulders, relaxing the shoulders. Feel the elbows heavy and shake them out a little bit. And then I just want to take into the spine, so feel from the hips to the core, all the way up to the chest and to the chin. And just feel this whole line of the body. Play with basically pulling it tight and dropping it into the ground. So what you're working with now is the ability to expand the spine. But the key thing now is what you want to do is play with opening it out, raising it up, and then play with dropping it in, but keeping the core relaxed, keeping the core extended, sorry. So keep the core extended through it. So you don't want to now go into compression down. You want to feel that you have the whole body basically lined up. So you raise up, drop it in. So you want stability, and you want a real sense of extension through the whole core. So that's it. Perfect. Pay special attention to the position of the head in this. So also play with doing this wrong. If I go into this kind of position, the head kind of will start to kind of pull out. So play with the idea as if you're kind of stacking the head, and really just see the head as an extension of the spine. So you just want to feel that the head's just going to drop along that same line. And it really matters the position of the head, especially think about the chin. It's kind of jutting it out or pulling back. It's going to kind of break that line through the body. So just feel that line, whole line just drops in. Perfect. Got it? Good. And then we're just going to explore the same line with the arms now. Bring the arms right up to the top. Keep the spine, that sense of the spine being extended, and then just drop it in. And only drop so far that you can basically keep that sense of alignment through the core of the body. So watch for this kind of thing, where you're going to start to pull out of the body. So just think about here, dropping the weight in, down. The weight in, down. And just use the arms as feedback on the core, for the core. Just give that a try, just a few. That's it. So this, in a way, this workshop's also kind of follow on from the last one, which we were looking at basically alignment and then taking it into movement. So it's kind of where we left the last workshop. But I want to first think about these alignments in the lower body. So especially now from the hips to the heels, think about this whole line now, lighting up with this movement. So you don't want to feel that the knee is in between that line. So you've got the hip, the heel, and feel that the back of the knees in between that. You want that ability of the knee to hinge, that connection. So think of making a line. You can also introduce a little bit of tension into it. So tense, make the legs tense. Feel the hip, the back, and feel the heel pressing down into the ground. And then play with bringing the arms up and then releasing that tension. So play with that, actively tensing the legs. Squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them. Raise the arms up and then drop them into place. As you pull up now with the arms, tense the legs. Then the key thing is feel the connection, especially through the back line, from the hip to the heel. So press the heels into the ground strongly. Pull the hips up as if you're pulling the hips away from the heels. So you're really pulling them up tight. Tight. Raise the arms up. And again, just allow that connection to stay. And you want to, when you drop in, you want to stay heavy. You want the tension to release, but you want the connection to stay heavy in the legs. So you should feel like you're kind of sitting down on a high stool. So you want that kind of connection. And what you don't want to feel is the knees basically collapsing the connection, and the tension goes like, then it's a bit like snapping an elastic band, and the connection goes all over the place. So you're looking for tight tension and then heavy. Great. Got it. Nice. Right. Okay, now take that tension into the arm.
Sorry, Michael. Could
you? Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. This movement. Could you just repeat what you said before? Because I was so concentrated. I think I have.
Yeah, sure. So what you're doing.
Understand it fully.
Yeah, think that you're going to really tense at the lower body. So from the hips to the heel, to the back of the foot, you're really going to create tension through the whole leg. So you want to really make it tight. And then as you raise the arms up and drop them, I just want you to release that tension. Yeah. So you're going to go tight up to the top, and then relax and drop the body in. Tight at the top, relax down. So what you're looking for here is to create a really heavy connection to the ground. So you've got that, drop in, that, drop in. Now we're really focusing on the back of the leg, this one. That makes sense? Yeah. Good. Perfect. Great. So try and take this now into the arms. So feel that connection. You can keep the legs tense, or you can just kind of let them drop in naturally. But feel now this connection into the arm. So you're going to actively bend the arm right to the back. So sometimes you can do this exercise like this, but try and from the shoulder, from the armpit, all the way up to the elbow to the little finger, try and tighten that connection up. So you're really going to tighten it up here. And then you do the same thing with the arms, release the connection. But tighten at the top, and then relax it. Tighten at the top, relax it. That's it. And see in this one, this is tricky, but see if you can basically get the tension just here. So just here into the arm, and then into the hand. Try and watch out for, in this case, the chest basically becoming tight. And then put a position like this. So try, and as you do this, try and just feel that you're tensing the arms up. And the chest is kind of relaxed. But that tense, and then relax it. Tense, relax it. So it'll have a little bit less of a fluid swing, because you're actively kind of tensing the body, but just play with it. Okay. Okay, so you can put the arms in a couple of positions in this one, and you can kind of experiment with them. You can do that one, obviously, but in this one, if you go to this position, you'll probably notice, if I try and tense it, you can get tension through it. You'll probably notice more here and the hand. So what I want you to think about is this connection up through the armpit. imagine when you raise the sword with it, this kind of connection through the armpit, rather than that kind of connection. So think as you do this, that the hands are going to stay on the center line, and then you want to get that kind of connection up. So you can do that, but the elbow is going to kind of split out in that case. So go to that kind of position. So the hands are basically by the back of the neck, and really actively, again, focus on creating a little bit of tension from the armpit to the elbow. And again, release it. The key thing now, it's not really the tension, it's the releasing. So I want you to, again, play now with the core of the body. Again, put the arms into that same position, but without kind of tensing them up, with actively tensing them up. And the same with the legs, just let it drop in. But take the focus now to the core of the body. So feel you're going to come in. The center is going to now, think about the center really hitting into place. So you want to now actively, boom, press the center down. Press the center down. Press the center down. And you really want to let the limbs now relax, especially the arms, but especially the legs. So you want the connection in the legs, the feeling in the legs to hit the ground. Hit the ground. Yeah, and just play with the arms now. So let them really fully swing through. Drop the center in. So you're really trying to create like a super heavy feeling in the body. Perfect. Yeah, that's it. Okay, great. So we'll do one more. This is now twisting the connection. So we're going to just start with the feet shoulder width. You can go a little bit wider than the last one. What you want to do now is a sense of you're going to engage the core down. You're going to bring the arms out to the side. The first thing is just feel the weight of the arm. So you want to really load the arm into the core of the body. So just a couple of seconds here, just play with the structure of the arm, basically loading into the body, which basically means you can feel the weight. Either I'm holding it at the top, usually from the elbow, or the shoulders become tense. What you want to feel is if there's a very high table next to you and you're just loading the arm onto it. So feel it, you just place the arm into the structure. And the rest of the body should be relatively relaxed. And then once you've got that feeling, just play with dropping the center in, letting the arms cross. So loading the arms up, dropping the center in. Loading the arms up, dropping in. Loading, dropping. Loading, dropping. That's it. Okay. So the key connection now is the sense of the arms, the side-to-side connection. So think of the line between the hands, really again stretching out away from itself. So just play a little bit here, that sense that the arms, the hands can really pull that line tight. And drop it in. So create a little bit of tension through the arms and then drop it. Again, the key aim is really to drop the weight of the body in. So you want to feel heavy. Drop. 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 That's it. That's it. Perfect. Okay. So focus on heaviness, but also stability. So watch this. You can do this. If I relax the structure, this is going to happen. So if this structure relaxes as you swing out, then you're going to get like distortions in the structure. So especially think in this case about the hips and the shoulders basically falling into a line. So as you do this, really focus on the arms are relaxed, the shoulders, just let them drop to the hips. But just watch now, we're going to twist this next. You don't want the arms to be swinging the shoulders out of the structure. So think about this frame from the shoulders to the hip, dropping in, dropping in, dropping in, and not pulling out this one. You need just the right amount of kind of tension through the core for it not to become like loose, like spaghetti kind of, all the connections start to. be too flexible, and then I'm basically disconnecting the structure. That's it. That's it. Perfect. So we'll do one exercise that just really emphasizes this. So bring the arms up a little bit higher, create tension in them, and then release them and let them drop. Don't do this too hard, and don't do too many of these. So just a few. The real idea with this is that I'm not swinging out with the arms and trying to hit the body. You're just raising them up and dropping them in. Yeah. So you really want like heaviness in the hands. Drop them in, and then they're going to come down. You can do this really light. The key again is that it's the position of the frame of the body in relation to the ground. So just watch here, like that kind of position is really going to feel the arms are going to go tense. So really think about boom, you just drop the arms straight down. So it's the same exercise, just a little bit more emphasize the connection. That's it. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Okay, you don't want to do too many of those. So go back to this exercise. Now what you're going to do is introduce a twist from the core, the body. So the first few with this, keep the legs relaxed. What you don't want to do in this one is twist it with the knees. So keep the lower body relaxed as if you're sitting down in a again like a high stool. So the legs can just release, and then just think about from the core of the body, especially this area, twisting into it. So you're going to twist into it now. So now the arm is going to go to the shoulder, and the other arm is just going to go to the back hip. So that to that. To that. To that. And again, really emphasizing this one, that the core is going to engage down. So that's happening. If you want to kind of emphasize this, just work one side at a time. So kind of one-sided, don't worry about the backhand, and just let it swing across. Swing across. Swing across. Swing across. So you want that same feeling that you've got here. But you're adding a rotation into it. Okay, good. That's it. That's it. That's it. Nice. That's it. Perfect. Okay, now take the connection, or take your concentration into the hip work now. So what you want to feel is that the hips can start to introduce the rotation. So rather than now the core, basically the chest area doing it, this kind of movement, and the legs being locked, think of the hips now releasing the movement. So you want to connect now the hip to the hand. So think about the same side connection, the right hand to the right hip. The hip is going to release the hand. So as if the hip's dragging the arm through that movement. Dragging the arm. Now, again, the key focus on the hip, but just listen to your knees as well. So you don't want to be pulling the leg out of structure, and especially the knee, you don't want to be twisting it out. Oh, that hurt. So play with the idea of just sinking the legs into the ground, but let the hip be flexible now so that it passes the movement in. And really try and make contact with the shoulder as well. So that contact on the body is also just giving me feedback about the structure, where it's placed. If I go to there, you're going to get thrown out of the structure. Yeah, that's it. Perfect. Yeah, great. That's it. Nice. Okay. So again, think about the connection from the hip to the heel of the foot. So what you want to do again, you let the knee in between it, keep that tension through the structure. So you don't want to, in this case, do that, where basically the knee goes forward, falls forward, and then the connection goes, it goes like wobble. So think of the connection down the hip all the way to the heel, and you're going to In this one, just rotate into the leg. But feel that the knee's there just to give elasticity to the joint. So it's hinging the connection, but it's not releasing the connection like that. So think of the connection basically rolling in, rolling in. So just play with a few. You want that heaviness in the leg. It's going to translate to heaviness in the arm. If that connection goes, then the hand's also going to either go into tension or just become really disconnected. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Michael, did I understand it right? The heaviness in the legs, but also in the arms when you're in this practice?
Yes. Yes. You want basically, yeah. We're basically looking at this idea of the core being stable, and then you want basically the limbs to be able to relax. So that heaviness, is going to go in the legs.
When I have
in the arms. Yeah.
When I'm doing this practice, when I'm moving my arm from, or my stretched arm to my shoulder, I don't relax my arm. I still keep the heaviness in my arm when I go like this.
Think of, I don't use it. Relax is a kind of strange word because if I think about relaxing, it's like it becomes kind of dead. So so I think about heaviness because it's basically going to keep the idea of the limb being heavy. So I want basically weight in the arm, but I don't want the connection to kind of relax like this way. So I prefer to think about kind of heaviness and stability rather than kind of relaxing, because relaxing can go to kind of loosening. So you want to basically feel that the limbs are nice and heavy. Right. Good. Okay, we're going to take this same connection now. Again, hips. You're going to just roll the hips front and back and let the hands go with it. So just for now, don't focus so much on the backwards pull. Focus on the front. So like you're just rolling the arms forward. So use the connection that you've got now that you had here with the hip and the hand, but just take the hand out. So that. That's it. So this is a much more kind of dynamic exercise than the last one. That's it. Perfect. Good. Good. Okay, perfect. Great. Nice. Nice. Right. So especially now, you need to be basically releasing the shoulders and the front of the body. So if the front's tense now, you basically end up with this kind of movement like that. So it basically pulls the whole structure out. The opposite from that is if the front or this whole area is just kind of like this, then the body gets pulled like this. So you want to be always in the middle. So you want to be dense, heavy, connected, not loose and not rigid. But think about, especially now, in this movement, you're going to really release the shoulders, front and back. So focus now on the arms again, kind of splitting away. Put a bit more emphasis now on the backwards, on the backhand as it comes back. And use that hand as it swings back to open the shoulders out. And think of opening the shoulders and the chest as well. So this whole area, front and back, is really spreading away. That's it. So you're working in that kind of area now. Yeah. That's it. That's it. Good. That's it. Okay, so it's really worth emphasizing as well in in the training with it, these exercises are really for developing a kind of heaviness in the body and stability in the body. So if I'm doing the exercise in a way which is like this, then I'm basically working against that idea, because the body's too flexible, or the body's too loose, the structure's too loose, and I'm basically just swinging the arms down. So it becomes like a warm-up exercise, but it doesn't become a useful exercise. So really focus on this one as you do it. We'll start to now bring the arms up a little bit higher, but focus on stability down. So this exercise is doing two things. You're splitting the arms and opening the shoulders, and you're also playing with how to raise the arms in the structure. So it's a little bit of a mix of all the last two exercises, but really focus on a kind of functional heaviness. So even though it's not exactly a functional movement, you want to focus on functional qualities to the body, but the main one is this idea of heaviness, lower body, heaviness, upper body. That's the so all the time should be connected into the ground, basically. Weight of the body down, down, down. That's it. That's it. Good. Good. Nice. Okay, perfect. Take a bokken. Okay, great. The great thing with the weapon work is obviously you're going to now take the same kind of connections we've just been working on and try and transfer them into an object, which isn't you. So what I want to focus on now, the first one, again, we've done these exercises a lot. We're just going to do a little briefly with them. Think about the first exercise, swing up to the top and release down. You're just going to include the sword in this exercise now. So raising up, dropping in, raising up, dropping in, raising up, dropping in. And if I mean, most of you have done these exercises a lot. Really try and get a sense that you're raising the sword from the core of the body. So drops in, drops in, drops in. That's it. That's it. Good. Nice. Yeah, so the real benefit of the weapon training, or one of the big benefits of the weapon training, it's going to challenge your ability to ground the body. So really watch for now the sword as it comes out, the weight of it, pulling the body out of structure. So the body will respond two ways. It will either fall forwards or you'll tense up, so you'll add tension in. And then, especially with the sword work, that tension carries into the arms this way. Start to tense this whole area. And then if I do a lot of Suburi in this kind of way, this whole area becomes tense. And then again, it's counterproductive to this idea of generating a heavy body, because that tension is basically splitting me away from the ground, especially if it's in the upper body. So play really with here, how relaxed you can let the arms be, or how heavy you can let them be. But any kind of tension is going to really start to pull the body out of the ground. So again, really explore the ability to ground the arc of the cup into the ground. So you're going to go boom, in, boom, in. And then the more you ground down, the more the raise can press out of the ground. Yes. Yeah, that's it. And in this case, the sword's constantly challenging. Arcing away. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Nice.
Michael.
Yeah, sure.
I noticed if I drop my knees too far,
right.
I lose center ground. My center ground goes too low.
Yeah, right. So yeah, also when if you think about the knees in this, if they're gonna go, in this practice, in this movement, if the knees go there, basically over the top, then basically my center's going here.
Yes.
Into that area. Right. So you just want the right amount again, and it's like you don't want the knees to release so much as you want them just to open.
Yes. Okay.
So that idea of like as if you're kind of pressing the knee, not releasing them forward, but like pressing that connection.
Yes.
Back, like as if you would sit down, like if you were going to kind of sit down, like that, or you press the connection down and then drop into. So you just want the right amount of it. But if that connection's kind of dropping me out of place, not super useful. Yeah. Okay. Good. Nice. Nice. Great. Okay, we're going to go more of a Yokomen movement now. So you're going to take the grip here, and you're going to keep the arms along the center line, but rotate the sword. So the arms are now opening up. First, just get the feeling of the connection. So again, if you're just working on the connection of the movement, just kind of feel that you're locking the legs in place as if you're kind of sitting down, and then just play with the connection in the arms. So the difference now is you're rolling the sword around, and the key difference is the tips, rather than just going straight up and down, it's going to go around and then over, around. That's it. Good.
Michael, we are supposed to cut Yokomenichi, right? Or no?
You can cut Yokomen with this. If you're locking the lower body out of this exercise, you can basically just let it drop down.
Okay. Just cut straight. Okay.
Or basically just let it drop in.
Okay.
Once we go to the hips, then you're going to start that Yokomen's going to go kind of slot in.
Thank you.
That's a good point. Right. Yeah. Watch it. So the other thing with this is when you're switching the movement, this first exercise, or why this first exercise is really good, because it's very simple. So the connection's very simple. The hips are just raising the sword up and down. Now, when you go to this exercise, you don't want to be making the change with the arms. So if I lock the hips out of this movement and I just focus on the upper body, you basically got that movement. But again, you want to focus on the shoulders lining with the hips. So this connection is the most important. If as soon as you feel that the shoulders are pulling out, that means I'm doing the movement with the arms. So then again, if we go to the Suburi, that translates to doing that with the arm pulling out of the center. And then it's going to be counterproductive to this idea of heavy body. And if I don't have a heavy body, I can't really work with movement because I'm basically tensing off the ground. So any kind of fluidity work will get me stuck. So really focus now that shoulders, hips. Right, that's it. Shoulders, hips. Right. That's it. Okay, perfect, good, nice. So start to introduce the hip into it now, or if you're doing it already, just continue with it. So you want to feel now that the hip, focus on one hip at a time. So just like the right hip is going to release the sword up, the left hip releases the sword up. So work from now this position, but really get a feel that connection is going to go into the sword. So just play with the raising of the sword. But you're adding now to again, the key is that the arms aren't doing it. Let the hip press the hand up, press the hand up. That's it. Just lightly bring it down. That's it. And you're looking for a real sense of heavy, dense connection. That's it. So let's really focus now on the raise. That's it. Nice, nice, nice. So these positions are really great. So they'll tell you a lot about how I'm using the hips with it, or how you're using the hips with it. Watch for this now. So some of you are doing, when you raise the sword, you're pulling the hip back. So what's happening is like that kind of connection. So the hip's kind of moving. If you exaggerate this, the hip's doing that to come out. Try and get the feeling that that hip's going to kind of press in. If you think about using this movement later, that hip is going to press into the movement, but it's not pulling back with it. So really think in this one, that hip presses into the sword. So you've got that kind of connection. So just play now. If you're really used to this exercise, play with a little bit more of a connection where I can really kind of go press the sword up, go press the sword up. So a little bit more actively pressing the sword up with the hip, pressing the sword up with the hip. That's it. That's it. But splitting the hip away, this will again lead to lots of problems. Yeah. Okay. That's it. Perfect. Great. Okay, great. So we'll go to the last move, which is now the thrust. So we did this exercise for the third one. Basically, the arms kind of coming away from the body. In a way, this is the more complicated because you're asking the body to deal with a movement that's splitting away from the body. So the first one, the arc down, is kind of easy because everything's going towards the ground. The second one's just down the basic twist, so that yokomen is just that. The third one, now we're going to do with the thrust. You've got a splitting movement away from the body. So again, really focus now the connection just first with the arms. You can lock the hips out of it. Just get the feeling now that the hips, the shoulders, the chest, this whole area is going to open and allow the sword now to press out the structure. So you're going to go from this position to that position, that to that. And it's a lot shorter than you think. So I don't want to be going in that kind of route. It's really going to pull me out of balance. So again, think about these exercises we did before that. You're going to drop the center in, bump, press the sword out. Drop in, press out. Drop in, press out. Press out. Press out. I'm using the hips now. Da, da, da.
Michael, do I understand this right? I go from the middle to outside?
Yeah, in this one, if you think you've got two ways you can do this exercise, or you've got two ways you can do this motion. What you're going to do is each time you're going to just gently twist the sword. So it takes a kind of a flat position like this. And you can do that either that way, or you can do the opposite that way. So you're going to let the sword, the blade of the sword go to either the left side or to the right, that way. That's it. If that's kind of straight, go just with one hand, like just the right hand, and just play with, again, taking the sword out to the left, taking the blade out to the left, taking the blade out to the right. So you got like 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, so you're just letting that motion happen, basically. That to that, that to that, that to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Like this.
Yeah, perfect. Just like that. And then once
a special way to hold this sword?
In this way, you want the grip to be heavy in the back of the hand. So the back of the hand is really emphasizing the grip, and the front is quite loose. So the front 2 fingers, very light, very flexible, and the back 2 fingers gripping quite tightly. Mm. So you want this part of the hand to be kind of pressing into the top of the sword. So you've got that kind of feeling. And the sword is basically crossing the palm that way. So it's not in that position. It's across the palm that way.
It's across the palm.
Yeah. So you end up with, you're on top of the sword with the grip, and the back two fingers on both hands are really tightly kind of
On both hands, okay. And do I use the right hand for the, or which hand do I use for the end?
Always, we're going to have, always with the sword, we're always training with the left on the back and the right hand in front. So the left's always at the back. And sometimes we're slightly changing it, but we're not going to change left over right. So you're always going to keep left at the bottom and right on the top in this one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Good. Keep going. Okay, perfect. Nice. Okay, so we'll play with those three movements now. So you've got this straight line dropping in, straight line. You've got this curve with the yokomen or diagonal movement, and now you've got this movement, which is a thrusting out. So thrusting out from the core, thrusting out from the core. So just play now with the legs. So don't worry about hanmi or like dropping into hanmi. Just think about placing the legs down, placing the legs. So don't worry where the feet land. You just want to keep that feeling that you're transferring the weight and dropping into the structure. If you obviously you've trained a lot, most of you have, you're naturally going to fall into hanmi because you've trained the kind of pattern in the leg so much. So if it happens, just follow it. But just that. And just play with all those three movements. So shomen dropping in, yokomen diagonal, keep pressing out. Nice. Nice. Right. And again, really approach the training with an idea that you're trying to create a heavy body or heavy structure with it. And the key thing for that heaviness is you want stability in the movement. So the more stable I am, the more then I'm basically free to move to the next step this way. So play with this now. It's gently stepping the feet out, but really focus on the stability in the movement. So anything which is, and this is again why the sword's great for this, because it's constantly challenging my ability to get to a stable position. It's pulling the whole structure out. So you've got to meet the sword with the body this way, and then really feel in here, you can just step out of it, step to a new position. Step out of it, step to a new position, but really focus on stability at the end of the movement. Stability. Down, up, and then coming into it. Yeah, perfect. Good. Great. Nice. Great. So yeah, use this sword for feedback on the structure, what's happening in the structure. Watch this, the main one that's happening for a lot of you is there's movement in the arms before there's movement in the core. So that's basically feedback telling you that the arms are split away from the body. So if the arms need to, if I go into a yokomen, if the arms need to pull back into the structure to find that movement, that basically means I'm out of the structure. So really listen for now. If the movement goes from the core of the body, and I press the sword out, or I'm in that kind of position, and then the arms need to do an adjustment to pull back into center. So this kind of idea of this idea of like whirling in circles around a stable center, this basically means that the center is always stable. So you're not allowing the sword to pull you out of the center. If it's pulling you out, then I basically need to constantly pull the center back in. Now that's happening with the sword, but I need to, again, meet it with the structure of the body. So just play with it. So this is really like a Kihon exercise. Find the stability and then go. But really focus on that ability to just move the whole structure. You really want to develop the sense of body's moving as one piece. Last couple, just play with this. You're gonna take the arms shoulder width apart. You can also do this with belt, but we'll just skip that. Now, take the pocket. This is where tension's kind of useful. What I want to do is really create tension through the whole structure in the upper, all the arms. So fingers, everything's kind of tense. You don't want to lock out the structure too much. So you're kind of gentle bend in the elbow. Keep this. And then what I want to focus on is do the same kind of practice you were doing, just the legs. So release the legs. Move it, but keep this whole area tight. So I want to lock it into the lower body. But see if you can create a split. You've got tension up in the upper body. Tense, and the lower body needs to release. But play with just shifting the weight across. Again, don't worry so much about Hami stepping into Kamae, but just focus on the hips being able to move, grab. So now it's not possible, if I've got the tension in the arms, it's not possible for them to lead the movement. Not really. So the lower body needs to make the movement. So the arms now really just have to follow. They're not really got a choice. That's it. Right. That's it. Yeah. And then last minute, you want to go from tension to connection with the sword. So just feel that you're now taking the grip, connecting in the arms of the structure, and don't do any cuts with it. Just play with the body movement. So a little bit more of a dynamic practice, but very simple. Just play with the connection. The sword's basically going to track to the center line. And you can really work on that sense of heaviness now. If you feel that the arms are kind of disconnected, just go to a little bit of tension with the arms. So again, you kind of lock the structure in place in the upper body, and then the lower body can go in. But as soon as you can get out of that tension, go to connection with the sword so that it's alive. That's really where you want to be. So somewhere in the middle between tension and relaxed, you want to be connected to the sword. That's it. So feel that the sword's really alive, especially at the tip of the sword now. So again, this is about taking your movement into the sword. That's it. And if you feel comfortable with it, just the last few minutes, really start to play with the footwork so you can really move the body around the space. It's super flexible to move. And this ability to go dynamic is really based on this first really generating this idea of a relaxed structure into the ground all the time. That's it. Nice. And if you're taking this really dynamic, really play with different directions. So you should feel free to move every way. Backwards, forwards, sideways, rotations, everything. That's perfect. Nice. Great. Okay, perfect. We will think about it. Take a quick break. Great. Domo, arigato. Great, very good.